Welcome to Conspiracy. I'm Taylor,
And I'm Sammy.
and we're here to unpack and analyze the world's best conspiracy theories. So buckle up and let's jump in. Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. How you doing tonight, Sammy?
I'm kind of hungry.
I can
So-
tell.
If you hear me snacking, I'm eating Lay's sour cream and onion potato chips, and they are delish. I will do my best to try and keep my mouth away from the microphone when I'm chewing, but I might
Otherwise,
sneak in.
we'll just have some impromptu ASMR for you guys all.
I think it'll be good.
She already recorded an ASMR clip prior to starting the podcast, so I'll try to put that in somewhere for you guys all to enjoy. We're back at school. It's been a long week, but
it has.
we are
For a
here.
4-day week,
I know.
it felt like it went on forever.
It was a long week. It was a good week. I don't dislike the year I'm going to have.
I know. So far, I don't mind my children.
It's looking pretty promising. I mean, I'm not used to the long 10-hour days. Definitely exhausted.
I'm used to not having to do anything all day.
I come home, take a nap, wake up, eat dinner, and go right back to bed.
Sounds about right.
So I've spent all day doing my research for this podcast, so that way we can continue up with our weekly podcasts. So,
Yay!
are you ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
For my podcast this week, I'm going to present on the sexiest leader this country has ever seen.
Donald Trump.
Don't make me throw up. You just ruined this entire intro.
Okay, sexiest leader. Like, we're talking president?
Was a president a leader?
Yeah, but I really don't consider any of our presidents super sexy.
But if you had to pick one president,
I don't know, Barack Obama, Bill Clinton,
not Bill Clinton,
because I feel like he had some serious like controversy with him.
and I know when
Like JFK.
JFK.
Okay, he's too old. I don't really know him. I mean, I've seen pictures, but they're so old I don't even really remember.
To the general public, or many women just in general, they presume him to be the sexiest leader our country has seen.
Okay.
This week we're going to be exploring the assassination of President Kennedy.
Ooh, this will be a good one.
I'm really excited for it.
I looked into this one a little bit before I started kind of picking. Yeah, it sounds good.
The one interesting thing with him is there are numerous different conspiracy theories regarding this man. One of them being some of the marital affairs that he had.
Traitor!
And how they maybe got rid of those marital affairs because, let's be honest, Marilyn Monroe, I don't think that was an accident on how
that's
she
right.
went
That
out.
was him.
That'll be a conspiracy for another day.
Okay.
We're going to solely just focus on the assassination because this one has intrigued me for a long time.
The U.S. did it.
I
think the government did it.
I think
Just based on the little bit snippets I've heard.
the government, I think, definitely played a role in it. But then as I did some research, there are some other people that I think also played a pretty important part that was just kind of a little off to me. In all honesty, after doing all of my research and looking into everything, I could see this going like 10 different ways.
Oh my God, that's a lot.
There's a main guy that we're going to talk about. You probably already know who it is. I think he definitely played a key part, but I think maybe the motive for him might be
Different?
it could come from multiple angles.
Okay.
But we're going to jump into some background on him because I just love him as a president. I think he was amazing. And I think some of how he grew up and how he came into politics is a little interesting. So we're going to jump into kind of looking at his whole life here. So looking at some background of his life before his, ultimate assassination, the sadness that our country felt.
Wah, wah.
It was horrible. I want to provide you more of a detailed rundown. So John Fitzgerald.
Ew.
I knew that was
but
coming.
I mean, mind you, for that time frame, it was probably like a pretty common name.
And
but
if I remember correctly, Fitzgerald came from a grandfather. So it was a family name.
it sounds like a name from Money.
And
Like he's
we'll
gonna
find
be
that
a
out.
person from the country club that like
Hmm.
has a silver spoon in his mouth with a name like Fitzgerald.
And that was something, I mean, the Kennedys are the Kennedys. Everyone knows the Kennedys. I just didn't realize how well he grew up.
It's like the Bushes.
Yeah, they are a name in politics that will live on until the end of the earth.
Was he a Republican or a Democrat? I don't
He
even
was
know.
a Democrat,
Oh, okay.
which I think is pretty neat because normally when you come from the amount of money they came from, they wouldn't be a Democrat. But anyways, John Fitzgerald Kennedy was born on May 29th of 1917 in Brookline, Massachusetts.
Brookline.
Yeah, Brookeline.
Isn't it Brook? No, it's not Lyn.
Yeah, I
thought it was
think
Brooklyn.
it's Brookline,
I would assume if it's
Massachusetts.
spelled line.
Brooklyn's in New York.
Gotcha.
This is one thing I did not know. John was one of 9 children.
I think I did know that there was a lot of siblings.
I had I knew there were Kennedy
Is
siblings.
he in the middle or is he old, young?
He is the second born. He has an older brother,
Okay,
Joe.
so he's older.
Yep. So, but I never knew that. I thought that was really interesting. He ended up his mother had 5 boys and 4 girls.
That's a lot of testosterone.
You're telling me. So, very large family. John was also called Jack by family and friends.
That's confusing.
Apparently, I Googled it because I'm like, why
did they keep referring to him as Jack
they kept
in research?
going, Jack. And I'm like, who the hell is Jack? Is this like a brother? No, apparently Jack is a very common nickname for John.
That is so dumb.
Why
Just
not
call him John?
Just call him Jack if you like that name more.
They're both one syllable. I don't get
So
it.
that confused me a lot because I'm sitting here, I'm like, who the hell is Jack? Well, Jack is John. I'm going to call him John so I don't confuse the listeners.
Okay.
Had a rough infancy. He suffered from whooping cough, measles, chicken pox, and scarlet fever all before the age of 3.
Hey, knock him out when you're young, I guess. Back then, there wasn't really vaccines, though.
True.
This
So
was 19 whatever.
the first couple, like the whooping cough, measles, and chicken pox, really vaccinations they weren't a thing right then.
Okay.
The scarlet fever put him in the hospital, and he almost didn't make it out. I want to say it said he was in there for about a month.
That's a long time
Yeah.
for like a baby.
So he turned it around. He ended up being able to come home, grew into the man we now all know and love.
Okay.
Financially, the family never seemed to struggle. With 9 kids, I would think there would be a lot of struggle.
Well, with a name like Fitzgerald, why are you struggling?
John's father worked extremely hard to achieve success. Some even say that he became obsessed with becoming a millionaire. It was his pride and joy having money.
What'd he do?
It just says that he was a strong businessman. Eventually, politics become involved, but like the family went to Harvard and the family started businesses and worked higher up in companies and
Okay, so they had their foot in the door in a lot of places.
yes. And like I said, politics really fall down the line. Uncles, grandparents, people were in politics in that family and had power. By the time John was 3, they moved to a 12-bedroom house right outside of Boston.
With 9 children?
With 9. I know, but
So that's a very large household.
I was shocked because I then was like, okay, how much does this cost like today?
Oh, it's probably like millions.
You can't even find a 12-bedroom house in Brookline where they lived. You can find a 6 to 7-bedroom house in 2023, and guess how much it costs now?
A couple million?
5 to 6 million.
I was going to say, if it's out there, it's got to be quite a bit.
That's not even 12 bedrooms, so I can only imagine. I couldn't find a number for how much they paid, but then again, money didn't seem to be an issue there. And like you would expect, silver spoon in the mouth. When the children would come home from boarding school, they spent their summers in their summer house in Cape Cod.
Well, with that kind of fortune, I'm sure they probably had houses all over the place.
They went to fancy clubs, the children learned to sail, all the fancy things.
All the rich person activities.
Many sources state that, obviously money wasn't an issue. We even know the Kennedys now today, still money is not an issue. However, with the father as hardworking as John's father was, some say that he had very high expectations for his children. Because he was so successful, his children were also going to be successful.
I mean, he had the capabilities to set them up for success.
Mm-hmm.
Or one would think.
You would think. And really, he did set his kids up financially. His kids went to Harvard. They were big kids.
But I felt like he also made his children earn it. It wasn't like he
Yes.
just gave it to them. Like, he set them up, like, if you want to go to college, if you
Yep.
want to go to Harvard, I will help you with that. But
Yep.
then you got to put yourself through it and actually, like, do the classes
Yeah.
and get good grades.
And that was definitely the expectation. Like, you will go on to higher education. That really wasn't an option for the boys.
Did all of them?
Some of the siblings, and we'll find this as we continue on, like his one sister at a young age was having some seizures and had some behavioral problems. And the rumor has it that the father was not
Fond of that?
wasn't fond, was kind of embarrassed
Okay.
because you can't control a seizure. And
Would she have been deemed, like, special ed?
from what I've been able to find, I don't know if she would have been deemed special ed like they would. I guess I don't know
Like
how
a
to.
physical disability?
No, because like when you look at pictures of her,
Or she would just have, like, bits of seizures?
she would just have random seizures.
Like a bout of them?
Yeah,
Okay.
no control, but like when she
Like
wasn't having,
epilepsy?
kind
I
of,
mean,
yeah.
Maybe she had epilepsy or something along those lines.
Back then, they really couldn't decide like this is what it is.
Yeah.
Well, proceeded to have that child have a lobotomy that
Ugh.
failed and left her handicapped the rest of her life.
Wonderful.
Some think that maybe John's dad asked for it to fail so that way they could kind of hide her away in a home.
Wonderful.
because she was kind of just an embarrassment with some of the disabilities that she had. Like, oh, the seizures, that's kind of embarrassing.
Okay.
That's just a rumor. There was another Kennedy daughter that when she got old enough that she could leave, she like estranged herself from the family for years.
Oh my.
So
You wonder if there's like some issues behind the scenes that we don't see.
It sounds like it was kind of a toxic household. Moving forward with John and his older brother Joe, competitive, oh my God.
Okay.
Father pit them against one another in sports, academics, everything.
And when you're the same sex, like you're
Mhm.
gonna be pinned against each other.
And that was the hard thing because John was really not a competitive person. He was fine and content just being normal.
Okay.
He didn't get like straight A's. He wasn't valedictorian. However, when his grades came back, his father definitely had something to say of like, you're below average. You need to figure this out.
In comparison to his sibling?
In comparison to his older brother, Joe. Joe was the straight A, valedictorian, perfect boy, could do every sport.
So he wasn't an average Joe.
Shut up, Sadie. I hate that worked out there.
That was funny.
So, of course, his older brother, Joe, goes on to Harvard. Big kid.
Big kid.
Big kid on campus is what I was trying to say. His brother, then John F. Kennedy, moved on to go there as well. They both participated in athletics. John, again, average when it came to academics.
But you know, if I was John, I don't think, having been compared to my sibling my whole life, I don't think I would have gone to the same college as him.
I don't think
I think if Ivy League was where I wanted to go, I would have picked a different Ivy League.
I
Yes,
think
Harvard has this big name around it of, oh my God, it's the best school out there.
I think the reason that he went there is he was an alumni. His family went there, and the expectation was Harvard.
Okay.
And I also don't know how big the other Ivy Leagues were at that time.
Bro, I'd go to Yale. That's where Rory Gilmore went.
I want to say Yale was around, but I think at that point it was like, the expectation is you will go where I went.
Yeah.
Because Dad kind of seemed like a dick.
Okay.
So follows his brother there. Upon graduating, him and his brother both enroll in the U.S. Navy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Didn't know that either. So John and Joe they enlist. That's a better way of saying that. They enlist in the Navy, and I just want to make sure I'm getting that right. Yes, the U.S. Navy. John went over, fought for our country, came back. Joe sadly did not. Joe perished in a plane explosion in Europe. Mind you,
Oh my God.
yeah,
Died a martyr.
he died. And-
Rip Joe.
Yeah. And the thing is, prior to going, Joe had huge ambitions of like, I'm going to be the next president.
Oh, really? So
Joe
then
was
did
gonna do
John
it.
like say, okay, I will do this for my brother?
John gets back.
Or he's like, screw you, I'm doing this now.
His dad,
Who the president?
his
Me.
dad was like, you are going to do this. You are going to become president. Like, it was set in stone. He was going into politics no matter what.
God, I would hate
Yeah.
that life.
Because mind you, John came back. I want to be a teacher, maybe a writer. He wanted a simple life. He didn't want anything extravagant. Came back and his dad pulled on his ear a little bit, went into politics.
Bullet in the head is what he got.
Oh, God.
Was that too far?
No, because you're not wrong.
God.
So, comes back, goes into politics. He served 3 terms, which equaled 18 years as a, House of Representatives. So he
Too
started it.
damn long is what that was.
Right?
How long was a term for House of Representatives at that
6
point?
years.
Is it still that long? I feel
I
like
believe
it's
so.
4.
No, presidency is 4. House of Representatives, I believe, is still 6.
Because Senate's 2.
Yep. And
See, I
then
thought that was 2. House of Rep was 4. President was 4.
we'll just Google.
If it's 6 years, that's too long.
I think it's 6.
I think it's 4.
It is still 6, but you can only serve 2 consecutive terms.
Okay,
So
so
they
he
can serve
served
up-
3.
Yep.
So now it's a rule that you can only
So
serve
now
2.
you can only serve
12 years.
12.
Okay.
Yeah.
Still,
So-
that's a long time.
Yeah, so he did 18 years there. He then moved on to the U.S. Senate. Again, people were like, you are so good at this job. You need to go for president. Initially, they were like, you should go for vice president. But he goes, nope, what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait. I'm going to run in the next election for presidency. At which point, he met, and I'm going to say her last name wrong, but it's Jackie Kennedy. It's Jacqueline Beauvair,
Okay.
but now known as Jackie Kennedy, and is super famous for that. He was 36 when he met her. How old do you think she was?
I would hope like 21.
24. So older than that.
Okay.
Kind of a big age gap for the time.
He was how old?
He was 36, so he was 12 years older.
Okay, yeah, that's significant.
So at the time, because now people go age gap, who gives
I
a
know.
shit?
Once you're out of high school and like you're in college,
Yeah.
if it's a 5-year gap, it's not that much. Mind
But-
you, 12 starts getting a little big, but
People were really shocked by this in the public but because of his social status, they just kind of overlooked it and were like, it's fine.
Okay.
Moving forward, Kennedy became very popular, was encouraged to run for the vice presidency, instead went for the presidential election.
Get it.
Right? In 1960, Kennedy was nominated the Democratic Party's nominee. I don't know if I said all that right.
What year was that?
1960.
Okay.
So a great chunk later. Kennedy went on to win the presidency and became the 35th president. Also, didn't know, he's the youngest president to have ever served.
How old was he? 35, 36?
He was 36.
God, we've had
he
some
might have been
old
30
presidents then.
He might have been 37 by the time he got in.
Okay, but still, like, signed in probably by 36.
Yeah.
In the House by 37.
Yeah, so he was our youngest president. Still to this day,
Because all
no
our
one's done that.
presidents are like 80 years old now.
They're in the grave.
Yeah,
They're
they're definitely graying, that's for sure.
Yeah, no comment on that
What a
one.
shame that a 36-year-old.
I think he was in his 40s when he was killed.
Because did he serve 2 terms?
Never made it to the second term.
Okay.
We'll talk about that as we move into the
I didn't know if
the
he.
kill.
Okay.
So he actually defeated Richard Nixon, which shocked the hell out of people because for some reason Richard Nixon has
He
a cult
was the
following.
favorite. He was the favorite.
Ugh. Not long after his win, him and Jackie welcomed their second child. As a side note, also did not know this about him, they welcomed 4 children together, only 2 which lived.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like childhood sickness?
So the 2 that lived were, oh my God, did I not even write their names down?
2 kids.
It was John Jr. and who the hell else? Oh, Caroline. John Jr. and Caroline were the 2 that made it out of the hospital. They gave birth to a daughter, Arabella, who was a stillborn.
I don't like that name.
Arabella?
Yeah. It's just too long.
It is a longer name,
I mean,
but
you could nickname it to Bella.
she'd probably be Bella. And then they also had a son, Patrick, who died 39 hours after birth in the hospital.
God.
It just says complications.
Okay.
Yeah, but sad.
I
So
mean, it was still a while ago. I mean,
it's just,
I guess that still happened in
It's just rough.
1960, but still, that's not that long ago.
yeah. So sadly, they had 4 kids, only 2 survived. Also, as a complete side note, the daughter is still alive today, was elected by Biden to do something, so she's still in politics.
Oh.
Their son died in 1999 in a plane crash.
In
Yeah.
the Navy.
Not not in the Navy. He was actually flying him, and I believe it was his wife or fiance. They were going to Martha's Vineyard, and he crashed the plane.
What a bummer.
Yeah, it was kind of sad.
I think there's a curse on this family. Is that what this conspiracy theory is about? It
It's
shouldn't even be the shooting. It should be
But
the
there-
curse of the Kennedys.
There is a thing out there called the Curse of the Kennedys. Like I said, another conspiracy theory for another time.
Oh my God. I would
Yeah.
hate to be in that family.
People die of sickness, of accidents.
I mean,
murder.
to lose 2 kids in the
Mhm.
1950s, 60s is
That-
kind of unheard of.
Yeah, because medicine was a thing, and it was a lot
I
stronger.
mean, because mom was born in 68, so
I
I mean,
know.
it's really not that far off.
Yeah, it's just kind of sad to think about. And people say that the loss of those 2 children really put a strain on the marriage.
Okay.
We all know about the affairs he had. That strained
Did
the
they
marriage
ever
as well.
get a divorce?
No.
Okay. Was that on the table, you think?
Rumor has it was on the table.
Okay.
And we kind of get to that a little bit later with Jackie because Jackie wanted out. Back to the presidency. Some say that the White House was the best it ever was when he was in it. He brought this happy, fun-loving attitude. He was a family man. He would work from like 7 in the morning until like midnight because he would make sure he carved out time every day to play with his kids outside, be part of their lives.
That's good.
He was like the type of president that was like, I need to eat dinner with my kids. The meeting can wait until I'm done.
Okay.
So, family man. He's known for many things, and these will kind of pop up in the conspiracies later. Banning Cuban missiles might have been an issue. Maybe
Shooting at Cuba or Cuba shooting at us?
banning missiles from being stored there, if I think.
Okay.
I'm not entirely sure. I just know the Cuban Missile Crisis, he would not allow the U.S. to take part in any of it.
Okay.
Fighting for civil rights was one of his biggest movements. Creation of the Peace Corps, and then he had lots of other things, but those are some of the biggest things he had. He's widely known as one of the most popular presidents, if not the most popular president.
Sexiest president.
Hell yeah. But now we're going to face one of the saddest days our nation has ever seen. Or for
One
some
of.
people.
Yeah.
One of. Obviously,
I mean,
we've had.
we're not talking like 9/11 because
Yeah.
I mean, there's different tragedies.
But this shocked the nation because you don't hear about a leader being assassinated like this. It just
Yeah,
doesn't happen.
Not in our nation, anyways.
Yeah, so here's kind of the play-by-play that most news outlets presented. So it's going to sound a little scripted here. The morning of November 22nd of 1963 in Dallas, Texas, it had been slightly rainy that day, yet thousands of people came out in support of John F. Kennedy. Mr. and Mrs. Kennedy were all smiles that morning and were happy to be in Dallas on the campaign trail in hopes of getting a second term. It was a little past 12:30 in the afternoon. The parade was well underway. People lined the streets in hopes of seeing the president and the first lady drive by. The motorcade turned off Main Street and onto, I want to say it's Dealey Plaza, and right outside the Texas School Book Depository when sounds of gunfire echoed through the streets. That's kind of the main gist there. Kennedy was shot.
Was it a sniper?
It claims to be a sniper.
Okay.
But
Because I thought the bullet came from like a ways away. It wasn't like close range.
Yeah. That gets a little weird because some of the autopsy report looks a little off.
Okay.
So it says that Kennedy was shot twice, in the back of the neck, and then it also says in the back of his head.
So the bullets came from behind?
That's what they say.
Okay. I could have swore they came from in front. Okay.
Yeah. I've watched countless videos. They came from the front. But it said that they came from the back, and it was the neck and head. However, another bullet hit the Texas governor that he was with that was in the front seat of the car. It hit him in the back, and he did survive. The motorcade immediately sped off to Parkland Memorial Hospital. Sadly, there was not a lot that they were going to do for Kennedy, and he was pronounced dead by 1 p.m. So not even 30 minutes later. But then again, you're taking a bullet to the head, you're gone.
Yeah, did they even do any life-saving measures, or was it already too late?
They did CPR, but at that point, they were doing.
I was
it
gonna
was
say,
a
I feel like
corpse.
he would bleed out
He was
really
gone.
fast.
Yeah. So we're going to look at the accident a little bit. Like I said, Kennedy was shot twice. The governor was shot once. However, they're finding that, there were only 2 bullets, but 3 bullet wounds. This is where conspiracy theorists pop out. I kid you not, Sammy. There have been hundreds of experiments because they claim the bullet that went through his neck went through the seat cushion and the governor in the front seat.
That's one strong bullet.
And that's what everyone else says. People have set up the exact thing because he shot from a 6th floor window. They called it sniper style. But the way...
Did they actually prove this? They found where the bullets came from? They found where the person was?
Our government says this.
Okay.
They were able to confirm that the one man, which we'll talk in a second, was in the 6th floor.
Okay.
And it was confirmed that bullets did rain from that location. But one bullet is not going through 2 people and the top of a seat cushion.
Not usually.
That's where this whole conspiracy now plays out.
So we jumped into theories?
We're going to jump into some theories. Theory number 1, most widely believed theory, I even believe it myself for part of it. Lee Harvey Oswald shot President John F. Kennedy. Plain and simple, the report states that he was the sniper on the 6th floor window of the Texas Schoolhouse Depository. He shot 3 shots. 1 shot missed the motorcade altogether. I want to say it skimmed the front bumper, if I remember correctly.
Was this him saying this?
This is the government stepping out. What did they call it? It's the Warren Commission. It's the statement that our government released.
Did Lee Harvey, what's his name?
Oswald.
Okay, did this guy go to jail for him?
Yes.
Okay, so this is the guy that faced all this.
This is the guy that faced the charges of
Okay.
shooting the president.
Okay. But he said 1 missed, or the United States said 1 missed the thing.
1 miss getting inside.
Did it hit anybody around the parade?
No, it hit the front tip of the car.
Okay.
It didn't go inside the car. The other 2 shots hit Kennedy and the governor in the side. And like I said, through the back of the governor, the neck,
plus
and the head.
if you're from a 6th floor, how are you getting... Because wasn't he, sitting in a convertible, on the back?
He wasn't on the back. He was down in the seat.
Okay. And then where was the mayor? Front seat?
He was in the front seat, but kind of slightly at an angle from him. Because Kennedy was kind of in the middle-ish of the car, leaning a little to the side. Because that's the weird part, is now people are this bullet would have had a zigzag to hit the governor.
Okay.
It just is not lining up.
I'm okay, if you're shooting from a 6th floor,
Mm-hmm.
how is it going to... Because it's going to be going down.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to hit the mayor. Let's say it hits the mayor first. It would hit Kennedy, in the crotch. If it's going to go through this guy's shoulder and then continue going down, it should be, lower body.
It's coming from the back. So it would have hit Kennedy first and gone into the governor.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because it was proven 1 shot came from the back.
Okay.
And it hit Kennedy's neck, went through into the governor. Where I teeter on this is I think the 2 shots he landed inside the motorcade, I think 1 hit the governor and 1 hit Kennedy's neck. I don't believe that one of the shots hit Kennedy's head. I think that came from a second shooter.
Okay.
This is the widely believed conspiracy that he did not work alone. The government put out the Warren Commission, and said that Lee Harvey Oswald worked alone. There was no one else. The weird thing is, anyone that was there and witnessed it all say that a shot came from the front, which wouldn't have been possible from this 6th floor window that was already behind the motorcade.
Came from, so like somebody in the front of the car had to have shot.
Someone
Was it
in front
ground
of it.
level, or do they think it came from like another building?
It's more ground level. It would have come straight on, or it might have come from straight up. Who was sitting next to John F. Kennedy?
His wife?
We'll get to her in 1 second. So now we kind of...
Oh, and she wanted out of the marriage.
Oh.
Did she plan this?
That's what we'll get into. A little bit left on Oswald here. The one thing with him is there are multiple conspiracies that branch off of him. So what would have been his motive? Why did he want to kill the president? Because he had nothing to do in politics.
And now he's rotting in jail.
Yeah. So people think his motive was just he hated Kennedy. Also, the mob might have had a tie, which we're going to jump into here in 1 sec. Russia. He married a Russian woman, and he had no issue saying out loud in public that he would have no problem divulging secrets from the U.S. to the Soviet Union to help him out in any way.
Wonderful.
Also, he had a love for Cuba. At the time, it was Fidel Castro ruling.
And the Cuban Missile thing.
Mhm.
Okay.
Which kind of pissed him off that why wouldn't you help out Cuba when they need your help?
Okay.
So he had a strong hatred for Kennedy. Very well could have worked alone. But here are some of the other theories. So the mob. We have this man named Jack Ruby. Jack Ruby was a huge mob guy in Chicago, Illinois. He killed Lee Harvey Oswald his second day in jail.
Oh, my
Mhm.
God.
The reason they think that Ruby killed Lee Harvey Oswald is because initially they hired him to kill Kennedy because Kennedy was kind of looking into some mob's doings. And they didn't like that. So they're like, who can we pit this all on? They thought, though, that after he committed the assassination that he was going to talk. They got a little nervous.
So they kind of shut him down.
So Jack Ruby was like, shit. They claim he drove down there the day of just because he had such a love for Kennedy and they couldn't believe someone assassinated him. And that was his alibi. I killed him for my love of the country. So that's why he killed Lee Harvey Oswald. But many think that he was like, he's going to sing like a bird. We need to get rid of him.
Well, and the mob's got people everywhere.
Yeah. But
So-
they claim Jack Ruby jumped in a car, drove from Chicago all the way down to Texas.
How'd he get in the prison?
It's I believe he shot through a window. Found the cell.
Oh, so this
killed him.
wasn't another prisoner that killed him.
No. Jack Ruby did it himself from outside. Yeah.
Did he then go to prison?
Yeah. And I want to say he was killed in prison too. I didn't look too much in his story once he was arrested.
This is getting very confusing.
The theories.
There's a lot of loopholes here.
And mind you, I don't even have the half of them. If you put this out on one of those pegboards with the red lines,
It'd be everywhere.
oh my God, this could go 100 different directions. This one kind of seemed a little plausible to me. Jack Ruby, I think, might have been trying to cover some stuff up.
Especially if he was mob related.
Yeah. We then kind of go into the Cuban government theory. The Cuban government killed President Kennedy. During the presidency, John F. Kennedy refused and withheld U.S. military support during the failed, and this is weird to me, Bay of Pigs invasion. I've never heard of this. Apparently, it was like a small little war going on down there. But he was like, we are pulling out. We are not helping you. This is not our mess.
Okay.
So they think that kind of pissed off Castro, and he was like, fuck you. We're going to have some issues.
All right.
On top of that, apparently, under Kennedy's reign, they say that the CIA attempted to take out Fidel Castro numerous times under Kennedy's orders.
Oh my. So they might have had some beef with each other.
Yeah, it sounds like it was a little messy, and Castro was
was Castro like starting wars with everybody he could
Castro,
find?
oh my God, that man, you just Google his name. He hated everyone and everything, and he wanted to
so
rule
he
the world.
had some serious
Yeah, he was going to rule the world.
issues. Okay.
He's something else. Mind you, when the whole assassination took place, obviously the U.S. was like, who are we going to blame this on? Castro being one of those people, and Castro immediately was like, how dare you even think? I'm insulted that you think I would do this. Because, of course, why would you not?
Oh, yeah, and he's got a superiority complex going on.
Yeah, God complex. Makes you want to vomit. But then that kind of leads back to the whole Lee Harvey Oswald and his love for Cuba. And they thought, okay, did Cuban contact? Because Lee Harvey was out there preaching, I hate Kennedy. And they thought maybe the Cuban government reached out.
Okay.
Just a theory.
Yeah, it could be.
It's not super strong. It has some potholes in it. Or what is it? Loopholes? I don't know what you call that.
Both of those sound good to me.
Yeah, it just, some things
Like
seem
some
right.
gaps, kind of.
Yeah, some things seem right and some things just don't line up. The next theory is Lyndon B. Johnson, who was competing against Kennedy and the Republican Party.
Okay.
They think he might have killed Kennedy.
I mean, he had a motive.
He definitely had a motive. The weird thing
Did
is...
Nixon ever come back and compete again?
Yeah, Nixon ended up winning the presidency, I think.
I didn't know if that was him going for a second term.
That
and
might
he
have
was
been his
just going-
second term.
Okay, I didn't know if that was after that point or if it was before.
It might have been before, now that you say that. The weird thing is with Lyndon B. Johnson, there is a former CIA agent, he goes by E. Howard Hunt, that claims they received orders directly from Johnson to take out Kennedy. He wanted a clear path to the presidency and he wasn't going to let anyone stand in his way.
How was he giving orders if he wasn't the president?
That's where it doesn't line up for me. It's just weird.
Because technically it should be Kennedy that would have
You would think, but
communication with FBI.
I know when you're running for president and when you become like the party's nominee, you
get protection.
You get protection, and I'm wondering if he was able to kind of shake hands with the right people and go get this done.
Okay.
And
and there's some people that don't always support the president when they're working for him, so there might have been some bad stuff happening.
And I know Johnson was also in politics prior to this, so for all we know, he had connections long before any of this.
Yeah, there might have been corruption.
So I guess who took the presidency after Kennedy died?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he was probably the only one running, and
that theory I could buy in 100%. But then I also sit there and I'm like, okay, who did he pay off to kill? Did he pay the CIA? Did he pay FBI? Because well,
it's kind of like once he got into his presidency, who did he promote? Because I guarantee you they were probably in on it.
And mind you, our government goes, never would have happened. How dare you even think that?
Our government says a lot.
But here's the one theory that I don't want to believe, but it has an outstanding amount of evidence.
His wife,
Jackie Kennedy.
Sad face.
One of the biggest theories points to her killing her own husband, and the thing is, video evidence
in broad daylight with a ton of witnesses. But I mean, who would suspect her? Because she's sitting right there next to him.
And a grieving wife, you're not going to mess with that. And
especially a grieving first lady.
And the thing is, it wasn't until years after he died, she was out of the White House and wasn't first lady, and things kind of calmed down.
That people started questioning her?
That people were like, what's going on? Because, mind you, when they were married, happiest face, they were the perfect family.
Yeah, they put on the perfect facade.
Everyone wanted to be a Kennedy. And it wasn't, granted, the rumors of Marilyn Monroe were there, but it got dirtier once he died and Marilyn died and shit hit the fan.
Okay.
People think that she was a scorned woman and holy shit, you are cheating on me with this slut and how dare you, and she was unhappy. Later on, it just came out and I literally saw it not that long ago on TikTok because people are talking about it. Apparently, John F. Kennedy's father came to Jackie and was like, I will give you $1 million just to stay with him because if you leave, he will lose the presidency. She goes,
she had that much clout behind her?
Oh, people loved Jackie. And his family especially was like, you cannot tarnish the Kennedy name.
All right.
Apparently her response, her so-called response is, it would need to be at least $10 million for me to even consider.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
When did that happen? Like when he was going for that second term?
For the second term because...
Okay, because was she thinking of getting out at that point?
At that point, she was like, I need the fuck out. Rumors have it, divorce lawyers were getting lined up and she was preparing.
Yeah.
And that's when his father came forward and was like, please you can't do this. I will provide you money. Just tough it out. Stay with him. And she was like, she
was done.
It doesn't sound like any money was ever exchanged, but that's
too late.
But that's when people think a plan might have been hatched so she could get out without having to do the whole divorce. And that leads us
Yeah, but they also lose their son.
I know. But their son...
Like if they were in on that, of killing their own child.
How did they kill their own child?
Well, you were just saying that, that's how this plan all of a sudden came up. Talking that...
No, that they were going to kill John F. Kennedy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His family was trying to get him to stay with her to stay with him.
No. Not that she hatched the plan with the family. She hatched the plan herself.
Okay, so she was trying to find a way other than divorce to get out of it.
Yes.
Okay, now I'm with you.
Not that she planned with the father. We're going to kill
like,
your child.
God, I can't believe his dad was... mind you, he's probably not the favorite son, but...
Yeah, but at that point, he was president. That's all that mattered.
Yeah.
Power-hungry
that was the
family.
goal.
And so it sounds like she might have hatched the plan either with FBI, CIA, or maybe even Secret Service. The weird thing is, I've watched this video because there's video evidence
I've seen it.
of the motorcade. He is shot from the front clearly. You see the first shot where it comes in through his neck.
I mean, blood spatter evidence
Yep.
should tell you
But-
all the stuff you need to know.
That's all been cleared from record for us in the public.
Wonderful.
So in the video, you see him get shot in like the neck back area. You see him like slump forward and then kind of fall towards Jackie. And I'll let you watch the video here in a second. But then when he slumps towards Jackie, Jackie kind of turns her body kind of like at a 90-degree angle to face him, gets extremely close in hugging range. You hear a loud pop of a gun. You see a flash of light and his head fly backwards as if a gun had just been shot into his forehead. Jackie moves to try to escape the motorcade because, oh no, I'm scared. You see something move from her one hand to the other hand that's shiny and kind of looks like a gun. It looks like she stuffs it in the seat and then she tries to climb off the back of the motorcade. Sammy, it gives me goosebumps talking about it. It is insane. So I want to show you the video and we can try to add this into our YouTube video for people to watch. I don't know how we can do that, but we'll see what we can do.
So they really were like sunk down in the back seat.
Mm-hmm. They kind of go past a wall here in a second. Because you kind of see the first shot where he sulks over and watch that head shoot back.
Oh yeah, she definitely shoved something behind a seat.
Yeah. And notice how that head shot back very fast. That bullet came from the front. But she shoved something quite shiny right down into the seat pocket right before she tried to escape the motorcade.
That came from like right here. And I don't know,
Mhm.
I'm only paying attention to her. I gotta pay attention to the guy in the front seat.
I know. I had to watch like multiple times to watch each person in the video.
It definitely looks suspicious, but
yeah.
I never see. She had to have like had it like in his crotch region
Mhm.
if she had something because it's never like pressed against his head.
No. But they think because then it goes on to the whole autopsy report and they're like, oh, there was just a tiny little bullet hole in the back of his head. But then
I mean, that was not no sniper, right? It was
Mm-mm.
close range because there's so much blood splatter right here when that happens.
And when you talk to anyone that was present and in front of that motorcade, they say he had a baseball-sized wound in the front of his forehead.
Yeah, you can tell just from that.
And mind you, people that were stepping out and saying this, they would then be confronted by government people that would come to their house and be like, you need to stop talking.
Okay.
But then I sit
I
there.
mean, and there was definitely something that she
Mhm.
shoved behind that seat.
And mind you, shiny, silverish color that like reflected light. So it wasn't like a handbag. She was shoving something away. And at that point,
But if the government was helping her hide it, there's no way they would find that because, you know, they'd say, okay, here's where we put it. We'll make sure it disappears.
Yep. And mind you, if she's shoving it in the seat, the Secret Service agent was the person driving the car. They were probably in on it. They're like, holy shit, we're not going to say anything because we're going to cover it up anyway.
Yeah, it was already part of the plan.
And the thing is, Jackie had motive. She didn't want to be in a marriage. She was angry that one, she'd lost children, so she was hurt. She was then angry he was having affairs. She didn't want to go into politics. She had no interest in this. So she was living a life that she was super unhappy in.
And she was offered a bunch of money and she denied it. So, I mean, she
Yeah.
wanted out.
And it just, things don't line up here. And watching the video, like I said, if you're watching on YouTube, we'll try to see if we can get that in there somehow. If not, literally just look up the assassination of John F. Kennedy. The video will show you. The gunshot came from the front. There were
Like
two
right in front of his face.
there were two shooters. There's no way that Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone.
One of the shooters was in that vehicle.
It had to have been, especially because when you talk to the crowd, they're like, oh my God. They say it was horrific to look at and so upsetting because it was the size of like a baseball softball. And it took up his entire forehead and it looked
Well,
like something
And
exploded.
then my thing is, okay, he just got blown to bits.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing crawling out of the vehicle? Wouldn't you try to slump down and get as deep in the car as you could?
But if she knew she was safe
Correct.
and didn't know she was going to get shot.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, you crawling over the back of the vehicle and then having that guy all of a sudden, because there was
Shoot
a
you?
guy that was back there that was like, whoa, like go back to your seat.
Yep.
I mean, you would have been a much larger target crawling out across the back trunk area of your vehicle as opposed to just hunkering down as small as you can possibly get.
Yep. Because I'm sorry, in an instance that I'm sitting with my husband in the back of a convertible, I'm diving to the floor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not crawling out the back where, like you said, you are the biggest moving target. And I'm sorry, your whole body, that is the biggest target you can have. So we kind of lead into that. The last little one is the Secret Service played into it. Apparently, there was a Secret Service agent in the follow car that was seen getting up and cocking a rifle after some gunfire was shot out.
Like
And-
as protection.
Yeah, as
To try and,
protection.
like, retaliate if they saw.
Yeah, some people think, oh, because they claim that that second bullet was in the back of the head, Some people are like,
they
well,
think he might have shot
maybe
it.
the Secret Service
Everybody
did it.
missed it.
But then again, when you ask anyone who was there, they're like, the second bullet came from the front. I'm
Alright.
sorry, I'm sold on it. The second bullet came from the front. There were two shooters, clearly.
Because you really didn't even see the first bullet come in.
No.
Yes, you saw him slump, but there was
Yes.
nothing where like you saw a flash of light or like a
Yeah.
little tiny like dot kind of
You
hit
just kind of
him.
see him like slouch and bend over towards Jackie.
Correct, and then that was when all of a sudden she starts like looking at his head, and maybe that was to kind of shield the weapon.
Mm-hmm. It's sketchy.
I mean, because she was like damn near in front of
like
him
hugging him so no one would catch it.
when that bullet came in. So
Mhm.
how did it not hit her?
Yep.
Yeah.
It's weird that she would have been holding the gun up and shooting him into the head just
Correct.
to hit it.
Yep.
The theory is that Lee Harvey Oswald was going to take the full blame no matter what.
Okay.
He was going to
the fall
land.
guy.
He was going to land the first shot to kind of throw JFK off, like, oh my God, I was just shot. Because a shot to the neck, he would have likely survived. Might have been paralyzed, but he would have survived. But it gave Jackie enough time to hug him in and land the other shot into the head, the kill shot.
Okay.
So that theory I'm sold on. But the other theory is there were Texas oil people that were really pissed off because John was trying to make legislation that would make their jobs harder. They think, oh, maybe he pissed off someone there and they were shooting from the crowd and it hit him in the front of the head.
No, I'm already set.
That
We should have ended on Jackie.
it was a close range shot.
Is it Jackie?
Jackie
Yeah,
Kennedy.
you should. That's it.
Yeah.
I think it's the combination that I think the
Mhm.
Secret Service helped.
Yep.
I think the guy up in the 6th floor
Yep.
did the first.
Yep.
Took the blame,
Because the thing is,
and she finished
the
it.
U.S. government needed a fall guy. And some people think, okay, Lee Harvey Oswald, what do you have to live for? He hated Kennedy, so essentially he was getting something out of it.
Did he have a family?
He did have a Russian wife.
That was it.
I don't believe he had children.
Okay.
But they also, the theory kind of points to, guess what, Oswald? You are going to have all the fame in the world of killing a president. So, and he hated Kennedy. It kind of got the wheels turning of, I'm going to get to take the whole credit for killing a big man. But in the end, Jackie was going to land the final one, but Lee Harvey Oswald was going to get all the credit for it.
All right.
So it was kind of like,
In his eyes, it was worth it.
mm-hmm.
Because he was going to be like the martyr in a way.
Yep.
That he did it.
So super sketchy. I guess I don't even need to ask you, what do you believe?
No, I think it was the mixture. I think Secret Service was definitely in on it.
Yep.
I think she finished. She ended it.
She finished the job, and mind you, got away scotch-free.
Yeah.
She, mind you, I mean, she played the sad wife really well. White House
How long
stairs.
until she moved on?
She had like 3 days to get out of the White House.
Oh
she
my
was
God.
flown back that night. They were already packing things
Holy crap, that's fast.
because they needed a new president in there at that
So
time.
does that mean the VP went in?
Vice president
Until the
stepped
new
up.
election.
And mind you, I think it was all of like 6 months until like the next one was coming in. They were already in November. November's election month.
Okay, so
So-
obviously he's off the ballot.
Lyndon B. Johnson went in. I don't believe he moved in November. He went in like inauguration in January, like always does. I believe vice president moved in November, December, and handed it off in January.
Okay, to kind of wrap up his term.
But yeah, she was out in under 3 days, which is insane.
That is super fast.
Can you imagine, like, and let's say, we'll play the devil's advocate here. She didn't do it. A grieving wife has to go back and move out 2 children and all of her things in less than 3 days.
Mind you, she's probably got tons and tons of help.
Yeah.
But still to be essentially pushed out of your household
Yeah,
if you didn't do it.
it's rough. But I mean,
I think she did it though, and she's like, "Thank God, I'm out. I
it's
hate
so
politics. I'm ready to go
heartbreaking.
home."
It's heartbreaking because I love Jackie Kennedy, but then I did all this research and I'm like, I think she killed her husband. I think she had help, but I think she landed the final
She
kill
finished
shot.
it. She wanted out. She was done.
Yeah. So you guys, let us know what you think. Please remember to subscribe to our podcast and leave a review. Like us on Facebook and Instagram at Conspiracy Podcast 1. And remember to tune in next week for our episode, which will be posted on Wednesday.
See ya.